Hey there, guys. How you guys doing? My name is Kenneth Stahl, and welcome to another live stream today. So, again, I'm going to try to interact with the people that are watching this live in the chat. So, I am going to wait for those people to come in here, and then once they get here, you're going to see me talking to them a little bit. I do have a few things prepared to talk about for this stream. That way, I don't have any moments where I'm not really sure what to talk about. Like I know I have a lot because I'm still getting used to doing this. The way that I perceive these streams to be, in my perspective, it's like me giving a presentation and me talking to people. So I sometimes you'll see me kind of stutter and not really know what to talk about. That's because I might not have prepared myself very well for these to do these. So hopefully I'll have better luck talking, because I know that the things that I talk about in these things are very serious topics. I know that a lot of people found my channel because they have depression. And I know that I talk a lot on my channel about, some of the negative things that I think. So these are all serious things. But again, I do hope that we can still have a good time here with each other. These kinds of streams work best when people comment in the chat and talk, and they work best when we can, maybe, the things that you bring up, I'll have something to talk about. Otherwise, again, I might not talk about anything that's very interesting. So I understand that I'm trying to keep your attention in these things, keep it interesting for you. I don't know what else you guys got going on. There are probably a million things that you can do that are better than watching these, but hopefully by watching this kind of stuff in these streams, by listening to me talk about what I go through in my life, you can just reflect more on yourself. You can reflect on how you're doing in your own life. It's kind of a way to evaluate, just the way that you're approaching life. So let's just, again, really deep stuff, I know. So I do see that somebody had a comment, said hey to me, said hi to me. So hey, how you doing? I do recognize your name. So anybody else who is going to be here, it looks like there's not really that many people here, but as people come in, hopefully they say hi, hopefully they ask questions. So if you guys have any questions for me, go ahead and ask me. The stuff that I have prepared for you guys right now that I am going to get into in this stream, it's going to be about happiness. So I realize that something that I struggle with in my life and a lot of other people struggle with in their lives, it's to just find happiness, especially once you get to the point where you're depressed. Actually, I'm going to take my glasses off. I see that there's a little bit of a glare, and I see that you might be able to see the reflection on my computer screen in that. So anyway, what I was going to say was I'm going to talk about happiness in this because, I'm smiling right now, but I know that a lot of times in my life, it's not very easy for me to smile. And so in this stream, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the idea of happiness. I want to explore what things can make a person happy, as well as what are the different types of happiness, and really get you to think about happiness in your life and how you can be happy. And hopefully this will be maybe informative and maybe something that you can take with you and think about later on. So okay, so first of all, if you guys have any questions, make sure you ask them. That will also help with the stream. So actually, I took my glasses off, but I'm gonna need them to read the comments, aren't I? I'm gonna need them to read things. I normally, when I do this, I lower the brightness of my screen like that, but then you can't really see my face. But I don't want you guys to have a reflection, but I can't read if I don't have my glasses on. Okay, so one of the things that I've learned about happiness when it comes to me realizing, that I have depression and that I have moments where I just can't find pleasure in anything in my life, where everything seems hopeless. What I've learned throughout this experience, it's that if I want to be happy, I need to make sure that I take responsibility for that. In other words, what I'm encouraging you to think about for yourself, it's to take your happiness into your own hands. So I know that a lot of people that are watching this right now are going to be people that have struggled with depression. They're going to be people that have really stressful lives. They're going to be people who go through some very difficult phases where it is difficult for them to find happiness. Now, you at this point in time in your life, you might be fine. You might be happy. You know, I hope that you stick around and participate in this and still, you might still be interested in it, because at some point or another, you know, in your life, you might find yourself in a really bad place where you're depressed. And I think that figuring out how to manage your happiness is going to be a very important skill for you to have. Or maybe not, I don't know if it's a skill, but you know, being able to um, create happiness in your life when you might otherwise not have any, you know, I think it might be something to think about. One of the things that I can think about at the moment when it comes to happiness is letting go of a lot of the past failures and regrets. And you know, sometimes you have those things that you're thinking about all the time, or just major events in the past that were very difficult times for you. Maybe that means, you know, losing a job, or a relationship didn't work out, or maybe you were in a car accident or something terrible, like tragedy, some sort of crisis that happened in your in some sort of crisis that happened in your life. Well, one of the things that happens is these things, they just kind of come along with you throughout your life. You're always going to have these things in the back of your mind. You're going to remember that 2 years ago you broke up with some guy or some girl, or you know, you're going to remember that 3 years ago you were in high school and you were on like a sports team, and you were like just so close to winning first place, but you lost. And then you always go through your life, you carry this with you, thinking that, you know, you're a loser or whatever. um so you just bringing those things from the past with you, it can kind of you know, remembering like some past mistakes or failures that you've made, or difficult times that you've had to deal with in your life, bringing those things with you to the present moment and with you throughout your life, it's going to, of course, impact the way that you perceive yourself. And you might not realize it, but that might have a major factor on just your overall happiness. So I guess what I would encourage people to do, what I would do for myself, it's to figure out a way. I don't know how to exactly do this. Come up with your own ways, but to just find a way to like get those things out of your mind and kind of let go of those thoughts, free yourself from them. I don't know if that means you have to face them more directly. I don't know if that means I don't really know what it means necessarily to be able to let go of those memories and stuff, but to come to some sort of conclusion with them, some sort of resolution, right? So that's just one of the thoughts that I have when it comes to happiness. Just the point that I'm trying to make with that is that the way that you feel today is going to be influenced a lot and impacted by your past and the way that you perceive your history. I think I have a quote written down somewhere right next to me. Oh yeah, here's a quote that I wrote down recently. It says that a low self-image is usually not based upon facts. It's mismanaged memory. So that's basically what I was talking about. It's the image of yourself is usually based on the way that you think about the past. And sometimes what you do is um, what you might do in your life is you remember all the worst things that happened to you. You remember all the mistakes you made. You remember all the things that were embarrassing moments for you, and conveniently, right, you just forget about all the times that were wonderful and great, where you had a fun time, where you were happy and everything. So this is something that I've gone through in my own life. You know, I think a lot about the times where my anxiety was high. I remember I have strong visual images of in my memory about you know, embarrassing moments, times when I freaked out, times when I ran away from situations where I was with people, and times where you know, I remember all the bad stuff, right? It's so easy to remember the bad stuff, But now that I think about it, now that I'm talking about this, I realized that, you know what, there were a lot of times when I had a lot of fun, when I was able to just have a great time and be happy. And one of the things that, now that I'm thinking about it, the times when I'm the most happy in my life, the times when I'm able to have fun with people, the times when I'm able to do all this stuff, is when I'm in the moment. Like, you know how they say to live in the moment, be present. It's when I'm just enjoying things as they take place. And I'm not concerned about what happened in my life yesterday or what's going on tomorrow. I'm not thinking about all these huge things that I have in front of me. I'm not thinking about that. I'm just living in the moment, enjoying myself. And that's kind of the same thing. If you want to be happy, if you want to reach that state in your life where you're happy, just kind of getting to that place in your mind um, where the past and all the different things that are overwhelming you, they're not there. So it's kind of like emptying your mind of everything and just being in the moment and everything like that. So I think that kind of line of thinking is related a lot to happiness. So when you're thinking about happiness for yourself, kind of take those kind of things into consideration. And I'm going to take a drink real quick while I think about what to say next, because I don't want to have this another episode where I don't know what I'm talking about the whole time. Okay, I do want to say thank you to those of you that are here. Please be sure, don't be shy, don't be quiet. Keep asking questions, keep talking to me. I want to know, what are you going through in your life? What are some big challenges that you have? What are you interested in hearing about? Um, you know, and that'll help me a lot with the stream. That way I don't reach these moments where I don't know what to talk about. And that way we can get through this quicker and we can have a great time and we can learn and everything like that. So okay, so one of the things I want to talk about, since I am focusing on happiness a lot in this stream, and I have a few things written down here that I'm reading off of. That's why I'm looking over in this direction. Um, so the thing that I've written down here that I want to talk about, get into at some point in the stream, was that there are different kinds of happiness. So, right, when we're talking about happiness in your life, how can you find happiness? How can you be happy in your life? Excuse me. I realize that there are different types of happiness. You have happiness, which is pleasure, in the moment, instant gratification of just feeling good. You have contentment, which is just being at peace with your life, being happy. You don't need to change anything. Everything's good. You have satisfaction. Satisfaction is a kind of, I guess these things are related to happiness. They're not, obviously these things are more specific than happiness, but I'm interested in, like, the being specific about what you feel. So like if you feel like a great feeling, like all of a sudden you just get this amazing rush through your body and everything just feels good. I'm the kind of guy who's maybe a little too serious about this kind of stuff, but I like pinpointing and being exact about what word represents that thing, because words are representations of, different things that are real in life and whatever. Um, so I'll get back to the different types of happiness that I was just getting onto, because I realized that can kind of get boring after a minute. So let's see, what are people saying in the comments? Thank you guys for all leaving your comments. Anybody else who's just joined the stream, please leave your comments. I want to talk to you guys. I want to get to know you guys. So let's see. Somebody says living with negative people has set me back a lot. I guess that, who you're around is going to impact you. And when you reach a point where you don't want to, where, there's just too much negativity, your environment is going to influence you. And that's just how, I guess, life works. So, I don't really know what I'm talking about with a lot of this stuff. But luckily I haven't had to deal with a lot of negative people in my life. So I'm probably not the best person to talk about this. So I'm just going to kind of move on to the next one. Somebody in the comments says they're dealing with a fairly rough depression right now, but are feeling okay. Yep. And then looking to start counseling again. Hopefully looking to reach a point where you can go out and reconnect with friends. Yeah, so I think that it's important. You're bringing up basically the idea that you're going through depression, or you might have a little bit of depression at the moment, um, and you just want to get better, right? You're looking at the recovery phase. Counseling is going through recovery, and you want to reach a point where depression isn't influencing your life, or depression isn't controlling your life. It's not, because like if you're a depressed person, you know, I have depression, and it kind of comes and goes when it wants to. At some points in time, I'm a really happy guy. At some points, I'm all cool, collected, I'm confident. At certain points, it depends on what the situation is, right? But when circumstances in my life get to be overwhelming, I can go into depression fairly quickly, and it can control the actions that I make in my life. For instance, if I want to go out with friends, or if I want to have a good time with people, oftentimes I just can't. I can't because I don't get enjoyment from it, or it's difficult, or anxiety, or whatever. So yeah, so if you're looking at, you just want to recover, I think that it's a very great place to be at, because you know it's not a great place to be depressed. It's never good to be depressed, but when you can kind of say that I really just want to get better, I think then, you know putting in that effort to get help is the most important thing to do. And I'm going to talk about a lot of this kind of stuff on my channel. um, Obviously, I'm not like a professional. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy with depression. So the fact that you guys are here listening to me, the fact that you guys watch my videos, it's absolutely amazing, because um, I think that together, when we talk about things, all of your comments, the more that we talk about things, the more that you leave comments on my videos, the more that you participate in these live streams and comment about what you're going through in your life, the more all of us combined, everybody, like you and all the other people that are commenting here, and me, we can kind of understand things better. And the more that you understand exactly what it is that's specific, that is causing problems in your life, and the more that you recognize that you're not the only one, that there's all sorts of people that go through various similar problems, I think the closer you are, and the closer I am, because I go through these things myself, the closer we all are to making improvements. And when we make improvements to ourselves, when we learn things that are going to help us out, we're going to get to a point where these problems are not controlling us anymore. We're going to reach a point where we can live our lives to what we would say they're normal lives. I mean, I would argue that, having problems is normal. But I mean, if you think about normal as being not having any problems, or living free from like depression or anxiety, or from negative people, or whatever it might be, then, yeah, um, you know, what we're trying to do is have a conversation, learn what to do, uh, get motivated to make our lives better. And then when we do figure out what's going to help us out, do it, and then enjoy the reward of being a stronger person. And I believe that, you know, the more that you can endure in your life, the stronger you're going to be. That's not saying that you want to feel pain. It's not saying that you want to struggle with everything in your life, because obviously struggling it's a in the when you're actually in the midst of a problem, when you're in the midst of a situation where you have drama going on, people are saying bad things about you, or when you're in the midst of depression where you just feel hopeless and life is just like, you can't find pleasure in anything. You don't know what to do with your life. You're not making enough money. You got all these things. When you're in the midst of all of it, obviously you're struggling, you're feeling pain, you're suffering, right? When you're doing all of that, when you're in the midst of it, it's obvious, it's clear, like you don't want to be there. But once you've gotten through things, if you get through things, and I believe that, you know it's always once you recognize that you have a problem that you want to be solved, I think if you put all of your effort into it, you can get to a place that's better tomorrow than where you are today. And once you get there, you can be satisfied with the progress that you've made. Because again, I'm gonna say this. I stole this from Tony Robbins, but what Tony Robbins has said is a quote that I will always remember because it just makes a lot of sense to me. It's that happiness equals progress. I don't know if he came up with that. Okay, don't. I'm not sure who came up with that, but happiness equals progress. So you're gonna be happy when you see yourself making progress in your life. You're gonna be happy when you realize that you're getting better. You know, think about it. If your bank account suddenly got $1,000 more dollars in it, or whatever currency you have, you're going to be happy because you have more money, right? For me, I get excited every time I see that I get a new subscriber on this channel because I'm making progress. I'm building an audience. More people are watching my stuff. So when I see that progress is being made, that it equates to a great feeling in me, which is satisfaction. It brings a certain amount of it's just happiness to me. So let's see what you guys say in the comments right now. Please, if you guys are just joined, please leave a comment for me to read, and I'll respond to it. You can talk about whatever issues you have. You can ask questions. Share with me some quotes that you guys think are interesting or thought-provoking, because that is really the point of these streams. The point of my videos, the point of all of this, is to be thought-provoking, to get you to think about yourself. It's to think about what you're going through and to think about how to solve the problems that you have and to work out what's going on. So let's see. Somebody's talking about going to counseling, thinking that they're gonna fix everything for you, and that is something that I pointed out at the beginning of the stream, which you guys probably missed. But I did say that I do believe that it's important to take your happiness into your own hands. Like, from being depressed myself, I realized that of course, when you're depressed, if you're depressed, you're not going to really find it easy to find the motivation to do anything, because that's kind of a symptom of depression. You're unable to get motivation, right? But what I realized is that I have to do what I can to be happier, to get better, to not be so depressed. Obviously, a lot of it is out of my control, right? A lot of the depression is just stuff that it's too overwhelming for me to understand, because I don't have a good understanding of it. But also just because at the moment you're gonna have to deal with things at certain points. You can't just instantly get better. So you're gonna have a phase of just recovery, right? A phase of recovery. Anyway, what I've kind of realized is that as I get myself together, and you're seeing this as well. If you watch my channel, if you're gonna follow me for a long time, hopefully, crossing my fingers here, I'm gonna get better, right? I'm gonna continue to get better, and the more and more that I get more confident, the more that I kind of get myself together, get on my feet, the easier it's gonna be. And also, once I get to that point where I'm better, then I can then do more for myself. So it's all a big process. It's just you can't count on other people making you happy. I mean, just focus on learning, focus on education, focus on if you're, like I said, if your back is against the wall, right? If there's like a lion chasing you that's gonna eat you, right? You're gonna get motivated to run away from it. Just so if depression gets to a point where maybe you have to hit rock bottom, maybe you have to go to have everything fall apart in your life before you can regroup and figure out how to move forward. That's not saying that hitting rock bottom is a good thing. It's a terrible thing. It should be avoided. Like, my rock bottom was I was going to college, realizing I had depression, dropping out of college, almost losing my girlfriend, losing a lot of relationships I had in my life, including my dad and my mom, and losing all these friends and realizing I was alone and just feeling helpless. I hit rock bottom. There was a moment I was having these mental outbursts, these crazy moments where I would cry all the time, not have anything to do in my life, sit around all day. So the point is that I hit rock bottom. All right. Obviously, if I could have avoided it and been on a clear path going upwards to success and happiness and all this stuff, I would have chose that, right? But the thing that happened is I hit rock bottom. And when I hit that point, when the universe, when God, when life slapped me in the face and told me to wake up, ever since then, I've been kind of slowly getting better. So, I mean, you could argue, you could look at my life and say, well, you say you've been making progress and recovering and getting better, but if you look at this date and that date and this other day, you weren't doing a good job of that. You were failing to really, make progress in your life. Yes, I could say that. I could argue to myself that I say I've been getting better, but I've really been just stuck at the same point this whole time. That could be true too. So, again, I don't know how to wrap up that whole big long speech I just gave there, but please ask more questions and talk about this some more. The person who wrote that comment really inspired me to kind of go on a long rant there. So, yeah, let me get a drink of water because I'm going to talk a lot during the stream. Let's see. Somebody here is saying that they went to a therapist and are seeing them, but have considered going out of medication. Would I recommend it? Okay, so I'm a little hesitant to talk about this because I think that's something that you should consult with an actual doctor and professional, and your family. So just take this as words from me and recognize who I am, right? What I have done in my life is I have not gone on medication. I've been avoiding it, whether that is for my benefit or whether that is for not good for me. I do believe that if I went on medication, I would probably have an easier process of, I do believe that they help, but I also am not a big fan of them. I would prefer everything to be without that, like more like just kind of natural kind of stuff that, I guess it's just kind of a weird problem of mine that I have, which is to avoid that kind of thing. I mean, depending on what your specific problems are, you might need it. I mean, that might be what you need in your life is medication. You might be the perfect fit for it, but it's also could be the case that it's not really the problem that you have. So, because I mean, this is gonna fix the chemicals, right? It's gonna work on. I don't really know exactly how it works, but I mean, I would argue if you feel like you don't want to go on medication, then just don't. But don't just because you don't feel like you should go on medication, just because you don't want to go on medication, doesn't mean you shouldn't be going out there and hearing what other people have to say about it. You should be really interested in learning about what other people's perspectives are about medication, because you might run into somebody who says you absolutely need to get on medication and they might convince you. So always be open to what other people have to say. But if you don't want to, I wouldn't. But because in my life, I didn't want to go. But you could also argue that what I did in my life is I said, I don't want to go on medication, so I'm not going to go on medication. But if you really look at the quality of my life, maybe that's not making a good case for not going on medication. So remember who you're talking to. Remember that I'm not a doctor. Remember that my life, I still struggle a lot and I still have depression. So I'm going to move off of that because I'm not I'm not somebody who really should be talking about that, and I don't want to get into it too much. And you know, one of the things that caused me to have kind of the problems that I do in my life, a lot of it is just having a low self-esteem, with combined with just, you know, there have been a lot of things that have happened in my life where I've been embarrassed about, in certain situations where I've had to deal with regret, where, you know, like I said, I dropped out of college. It's a circumstance that happened. I almost lost my girlfriend, which I didn't, luckily, but you know, some craziness has happened in like relationships, as you probably are aware if you're in a relationship. You know, they can be messy at sometimes. So just dealing with some of the regular stress that a lot of people go through in their life. You know, when I went through the things in my life, I guess I forget where I was going with this point because I forgot what I was talking about. But after going through all that kind of stuff, shoot, my mind just drew a blank. All right, guys, forget what I was talking about. Let's move on. What do you guys have to say? All right, so I'm trying to make this stream talking about happiness, and I think I've done a good job so far talking about happiness. Feel free to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Ask me anything. And feel free. Somebody says they've got to go because they're in Ireland and it's 3:30 a.m. Yeah, I understand. I'm choosing a time that's not really good for people that are living over there. Somebody here asks, what can you do to build up higher self-esteem? Thank you. Oh, somebody else asked a question. I see. Sorry, they asked me if I was a religious person. I did see that comment earlier before, so I'll answer that one. Am I a religious person? I guess it would have to be. It's kind of a vague. My answer is going to be kind of vague. Depends what you define to be religious. I do not really identify with a religion, but I was raised in a community which was heavily Christian oriented. So I have in the past grown up as a Christian. But with that being said, I would not really identify with a religion today. So I don't really want to talk about that kind of stuff though, because I'm more interested in like some of these problems that people have, and talking about things in the way that I talk about them. Yeah, so that answers that question. So how can you build up higher self-esteem? Okay, so I have a couple of ideas about this. One of the things it's that one of the things about self-esteem, it's that a lot of times what we feel about ourselves, this relates to cognitive therapy. So if you're interested in cognitive therapy, I would look that up. But one of the reasons why you might feel bad about yourself is because you have thoughts that lead to negative feelings. So you would say things in your head, you would have thoughts in your head, I should say, where, you know, you think to yourself, you know, I can't do anything right. I always make mistakes. You look in the mirror and say, I'm an ugly person. Or you say like, you know, I'm a loser because of, you know, a couple years ago I lost at this thing. Anyway, so that's the cognitive therapy, is to examine like what your thoughts are, and because they affect how you feel. So one of the things to do is to kind of just break down what those negative thoughts are, and kind of pick them apart to the point where you realize that they're flawed. You realize that they're distorted thoughts. They're not based in reality. They're untrue. And then replace those negative thoughts, right? So you've destroyed the negative thoughts, and you replace them with positive thoughts about yourself, right? So instead of saying I'm ugly, say I'm beautiful. Instead of saying I can't do anything right, you can say, well, there might have been times where I've done things wrong in the past where I've made mistakes, but that doesn't mean I'm always going to make mistakes. I've done several things correct and right in my life. So anyway, that's the cognitive therapy approach to it. How else do you build self-esteem? I would say that one of the things is that you might feel like you're not good at anything. So if you so I mean, I think this kind of relates to like the ego, or it kind of relates to the part of you that is, I don't know if it's the ego. Don't hold me accountable for that. But it's like the part of you that kind of is like the confident part of you. That's the part of, well, I mean, the opposite of having a low self-esteem would be a high self-esteem would be confidence, right? So to have confidence, it's like um, get good at something, right? And see yourself as good at it. So um, sometimes you're just doing something, starting out really small, just doing something simple, and then whatever, pick an activity, whether it's a sport, whether it's a mental challenge, whether it's um, I don't know, something like start up a YouTube channel, or like I did, like, okay, so there's a thing for me. At one point in time, like 3 years ago or whatever it was, I decided to start uploading videos to YouTube. And at that point, there wasn't really a lot of things that I've really done in my life. And now today, I have like 1,300 subscribers on my channel. Well, now I can say, what makes me more confident today in my life is to say, this is what I've done. This is what I've achieved so far in my life. And so just if you can achieve something at all, whatever it might be, that, and then recognizing that that makes you a person that you can be satisfied with, then that's going to help you be confident in the future. It's going to help you have this higher self-esteem in your life, the way you perceive yourself. So when we talk about happiness, right, satisfaction is one of the kind of, if you look up like the synonyms, because I did this before I started the stream, I looked up the synonyms to happiness. We had things like pleasure, contentment, satisfaction, enjoyment, ecstasy. They're all related to happiness, but they're all more specific things. Contentment is not the same thing as pleasure. And then so satisfaction would be kind of related to achieving things, which is going to help you be happy. And confidence is related to being happy, and optimism is kind of related to happiness, I guess, like feeling like the future is going to everything's going to turn out good. That's why, you might be depressed in your life. You might be unhappy right now because you don't have any hope, like, you might feel like that no matter what happens, things aren't gonna work out, and that you just don't think that things are gonna turn out good for you. But the thing I would say to that is, if you don't feel like the future is gonna go that good, just remember that no matter how difficult things are for you right now, things that might be crazy right now, you might have a ton of problems that you're going through in your life, but no matter how difficult things are right now, things can always get better. And that's something that I think I've always been interested in. That's something that I've always had to think about in my life. It's to really recognize that it doesn't matter where you're at today. It doesn't necessarily matter. It doesn't have to matter, I should say. It doesn't have to matter where you're at today, because if you give yourself enough time, if you put forth enough effort and focus on specific ways to change yourself in the future, things can always change for the better. So just kind of being aware of the way that your life is going, being aware of having that kind of mind where you recognize that, it doesn't matter what's going on today. Tomorrow, I could be a totally different person. And that's why I really believe in never giving up and never losing hope in your life. And that's just something that I've always kind of thought about. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you for all of you guys for being here. I'm going to keep going for maybe another 20 minutes or so. I'll close out at the end of the hour. For those of you that have just joined, please leave your questions and comments. Ask me things. Tell me what you're going through in your life. What's some of the biggest concerns that you have? What would you like me to talk about right now? Hopefully you guys are just having a good time. Hopefully I'm keeping you interested. I know that sometimes the things that I talk about are totally just boring and it sounds like I'm lecturing, but you know, I do want to really make a difference with the things that I'm saying here. So if you appreciate that, let me know. Make me feel good. And you know, I also just want to say, you know, just how thankful I am, like for the fact that I can even be here. You know, I never thought in my life that I would have the kind of support from people. I mean, I know you guys are interested in like getting through your own problems in your life, but you know, I think that the kind of, I guess, relationship that is kind of started between me and the people who watch my videos, which would be you, right? The relationship that I kind of have between you guys it's really changing my life, and I really hope that, you know, again, I already said this earlier, but we keep having these conversations that help each other out. You know, you guys help me, I help you, you know, and hopefully we'll get somewhere sometime. So all right, guys, what else you got to say? Bring it on. I need stuff to talk about here. I did write down a few quotes here. Not really, I guess they're quotes, phrases, things that I read somewhere in a book or something. What's this person say? When I go back to school, my major should be psychology. Um, yeah, I think that by doing that, you know, I'll have better luck in my life finding a job, and also I'll have more knowledge about depression and mental health and everything. Then I could pursue something in that field. Um, I mean, that's where I feel like my life is going. I mean, that's what I feel like I'm interested in a lot. I do recognize the fact that I need, I recognize the fact that I need a lot of, I need a lot of work educating myself. I need to really learn things more. I need to spend more time reading books. I need to spend more time taking things a lot more seriously if I want to, you know, be somebody who is of that nature in the future, to where I can talk about these things as an expert in them and not just somebody who's just a guy. Like, to answer this person's question, how old I am, I'm 21 years old. So I know a lot of people watching these videos are older than me. I hope you guys aren't put off by that. Um, I don't know a lot of people in my life, in other words, where I live, that I can see person to person. I don't know a lot of people in my life that kind of have the same perspective about things as I do. I don't really know anybody that's willing to talk about these things and you know, discuss these kinds of things. I mean, I guess I could find them on a college campus maybe, but where I'm from, not on a college campus, I'm not really going to find people my age interested in this kind of stuff. So I just want to, it's so incredibly wonderful to be able to connect with people here online on the internet. You guys can just chat away and ask me things and say things, and you guys are interested in this stuff. So yeah. Okay, what do we got here? I'm someone who has high functioning autism. As a result, it's really hard for me to socially uh, to understand social cues, body language, to have any advice for interacting with others in a social setting. um I don't know anything about autism, so I can't comment on that regard, but when it comes to just interacting with people socially, understanding social cues and body language, stuff like that, I've been fascinated with that kind of stuff. It's probably the first kind of subject that really captured my attention. That kind of, it got me into the whole I guess you would call it the field, or it got me into the subject of just personal development, self-improvement, making changes to myself, just learning. It was the first thing that got me into everything because it was the most recognizable problem that I had at the time. I would be really awkward in social settings. I would never know what to say. I wouldn't know how to respond when people said things to me. Um, I wouldn't, I don't know, I would just be a really shy person. I would always just be labeled as shy and everything. But at the end of the day, I just didn't know how to, I didn't know how to kind of be in that social setting with other people, and especially when there's like a lot of groups and everything. Um, Excuse me while I drink this water. Um, so I mean, I would just like, focus on learning, about like all the things that can help in communication and overcoming shyness and stuff like that. Um, so I don't really know what it's like for somebody who identifies as having autism, because I don't really know what that means. I don't know much about it. If it's just, I don't know. I just know that, excuse me, I just know that uh, I guess it's just the one thing that I kind of got out of everything when it comes to interacting with people, it's that when somebody is talking to you, they usually have a lot of things that are going on inside their head that are kind of motivating them, that are kind of guiding them through the conversation. So um, sometimes people have more skill when it comes to conversation skills. Sometimes they'll have little things that they do on purpose. Sometimes they have things that they do subconsciously that change the course of the conversation. Like some people will be more hands-on and they'll like want to touch you like on your shoulder real quick, or they'll say, hi, how you doing, or hey, come over here, and they'll grab you. Other people like myself, uh, usually, unless I'm really comfortable with somebody, I'm not going to touch anybody. I'll just say things, like, hey, whatever. Uh, and then, I guess that it's just kind of something that I've had to kind of do when I interact with people. It's kind of just like playing this mind reader kind of deal where I try to figure out what is this person's motivation? What are they trying to, what kind of angle do they have here? What's going on? I don't know if that helps you, because I don't know again what your specific problems are, but when it comes to interacting with people in a social setting, it's like just be yourself, just talk about whatever it is that's going on. Just uh, forget about all the problems that you have in your life. Just focus on just being there. Focus on uh, being a part of the conversation and enjoying the moment. Uh, and I have a hard time in group settings where there's a lot of people, but just I don't know. I get like social anxiety. When there's a lot of people, I don't want to be the one who is kind of I guess I just don't understand how to interact with people on a group level. So I do want to move on to a different topic because I kind of feel like this is a little bit over my head and it's probably going to be a little bit boring to a lot of people. So what else can I talk about? People just leave comments and keep bringing up different points. I'm going to end the stream really soon here in a few minutes. So uh, let's see, what do I have written down here? There's a quote that I wrote down. It says that doubts in your mind are a much greater roadblock to success than obstacles on the journey, which excuse me, I read that quote because one of the things that I feel is important, to whether it's having confidence in yourself or just finding happiness or finding success, being able to achieve what you want to achieve. I feel that one of the things that gets in many people's way, whether you can relate to this or not, is having doubt about yourself, doubting the fact that it's possible, doubting the fact that, excuse me again, doubting the fact that, um, doubting yourself, not feeling like you're able to achieve what you want to achieve, whether that's, meeting people, making new friends, or whether you doubt the fact that you can find a better job than you have, or whether you doubt the fact that, your whole basic general situation is going to get any better. I do think that, it's important to not doubt yourself and to kind of believe in the fact that, I mean, this is why people always say believe in yourself. It's don't doubt yourself. I mean, that maybe that's another way to phrase it. Another way to phrase believe in yourself is don't doubt yourself, right? um, because if you doubt yourself, you're taking away the possibility for the good things to happen. You can't do that. So that's just going to be my little point there. I don't really have anything else to say about it. I needed something to say to fill in the gap here where I didn't really know what to talk about. So somebody left a comment asking me if my relationship um, has been affected by my depression. Have I found a way to work it out? Uh, I'm guessing you're meaning like my relationship with my girlfriend, or I'm yeah, my relationship with my girlfriend is affected a lot by um depression, and it just kind of like one of the things that happens with me in relationships with people. It's that um I don't always do things that are good for myself, or when I get depressed, like I usually don't make the healthy decisions, whether that's for myself, whether that healthy decision might mean, hey, you have to like, um, you gotta be going out there, and like when I lost my job, it's like you gotta go out there and you gotta find a new job. Well, I was really depressed after losing my job that I was thinking I don't want to go out there and look for another job. I'm gonna sit around, and I took uh, uh, a long time before I went out there and tried to get a new job and went applying for new jobs because I was just depressed. I didn't want to do it. And I don't know if, I mean, some people would say it's just being lazy, which is probably a part of it, but also just kind of depression is that, I didn't want to do it. So one of the things that depression's got in the way with me, with my girlfriend, and also social anxiety. It's very hard to like have fun with your girlfriend. Like for me, it's been very hard for me to have fun with my girlfriend and go out and do things, whether it's just a family thing, or whether it's going to the mall or going to a movie or whatever. Sometimes my social anxiety and depression just being the motivation, not wanting to do anything, I just wanting to sit around and do nothing, or laziness, whatever you want to call it. It means that I don't get to do those things. I choose to avoid the things that are going to bring joy to her, which means that she's not going to have the best time with me, which means that I'm not really making the best decision. So um, okay, let's see what else we got. Someone says that I agree. Being yourself in a social setting is the best for myself, even though I'm shy. Um, Looking at people in the eyes and smiling, introducing yourself, and listen to the people and try to communicate. Um, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little things with. I bought a book recently about body language. I'm not sure if it was. It probably wasn't the most like scientific book. It's probably one of the popular books out there on body language. But I'm gonna read it eventually. But when I was in high school, we had a class and we kind of talked about a few of these things, just how to just basic things like giving people handshakes, or when you give someone a handshake, looking them in the eye, and little things like posture, standing up straight, uh, of course, having a good posture is going to make you feel good about yourself too. I mean, stand up straight, don't slouch like I do all the time. Here, just sit upright, and that way you feel good about yourself. You know, your chest is out. That's really what makes you be confident. And when you're in a social setting, I mean, like smiling is gonna. Oh, I just read a quote about smiling. I think I can't remember what it was. Um, but you know, smiling, it's gonna people make people feel more comfortable with you. I mean, that's a lot of times. This is what I actually think about this now that I kind of said that, it led me to think this, which is, excuse me, I keep drinking this water and it makes me kind of burp a little bit. But with social settings and like interacting with people, basic interpersonal skills, I think that one of the things, I guess this would be like a theory that I have right now, I just thought about this, is I wonder if all these things have to do with just making yourself comfortable with each other. Because a lot of these little things that we do when we're around strangers, they're all things that, you know, we're kind of putting on this professionalism manner to ourselves, you know. And you know, you're not going to be inappropriate with somebody that you meet, you know, out in public, because that's just not the proper thing to do. Some people are really laid back, or you could call them laid back, and they're comfortable with themselves. You know, they'll swear around people. Maybe different cultures are different about this. You know, obviously if you're you know, raised to not swear, you know, you're gonna not be that kind of person out in public. But so I think that maybe all these little things that we do in social interactions, especially when meeting people that we don't know yet, I think a lot of these things might be, how can you get to the point where you're just comfortable with the people that you're with, to where you can have a shared experience and develop a relationship with someone. And that might be one of the more deeper things that I've thought about recently, that have kind of been, I don't know, maybe you can take that wherever you want to take it. So let's see, what do we got here? Talking about relationships, something that helps is finding something you guys have in common. And again, that kind of goes to what my theory is just now, that everything that we do with relationships with strangers is all to, it's all to find a way to be comfortable with them to a point where you know, to where you can be yourself around them and not have to put on this fake persona and try to be, you know, the most proper professional person you can be. You know, finding something that you have in common with them is like that first step to reaching a point where you guys can relate to each other and be, you know, comfortable with each other. And obviously, if you're in a romantic relationship, that comfort is eventually going to lead to sex. So I think one of the things that people do with romantic relationships, it's with romantic relationships, it's what people do when, like, they go out on dates. I don't go on dates, so this is all hypothetical conversation here. But hypothetically, guys and women, when they go out on dates, or when they go to a club or a bar or whatever you might call it, and you're going out to meet someone because you want to have sex with them, a lot of times it's the awkwardness that might come from somebody who doesn't have experience with these kind of situations. It might be because successful people who are really good at conversation, successful people who are really good at bonding with other people, they just understand how to create that comfort level. They understand how to get to the point where they want to be. So if you're, you know, interested in a sexual relationship, it's kind of this question of, well, I want to have sex with this person. How quickly can I get this person to like me? How quickly can I get to bond with them? How quickly can I get them to be comfortable with me to the point where we can eventually have sex? So that is my theory on relationships. That is my theory on just when any kind of interaction between two people. It's everything that you do is to get to the point where you're comfortable with them. That's just my theory, because I've always been awkward. I've always had the highest amount of discomfort around people, because I don't have the experience with it, and One of the things that makes me really anxious around people, it's socially, like social anxiety, is not being comfortable and not feeling like I can relate to the person I'm around. It's not feeling like I guess there's any way for me to be myself around them, because I want to be myself around them, right? So a lot of that shyness, a lot of that awkwardness, a lot of that that kind of thing is because of not being comfortable. And I think all these little things that we learn about smiling, about eye contact, these things that we learn about I don't know whatever else, communication skills we have, listening to them, active listening, responding to what they say. I think that it all has to do with being comfortable. So that's my theory on this. I just thought about that during the stream, as you guys saw. So yeah. So I think I'm going to leave it with that too. It's been an hour now that I've been live, so I'm going to end it. I don't want this to be too long. I do want to say thank you to everyone who has been here. You guys have had great comments that you left in the chat, great things to talk about. You led me to think more about things in a way that I've never done before. And got to talk about some very serious, deep things. And again, all of this is I just want to have a thought-provoking conversation. I want to say things that get you thinking about your life and hopefully change your mindset to be better, and hopefully lead you to taking action in your life and live better and be happy and all that good stuff. So thank you for watching the stream. Hopefully I'll see you next time. And remember, don't hate yourself. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in my next one.